Hi, Patricia. Lovely to see you. And it's good evening here and good afternoon in your place, right?
Yes, it is. Thank you. And nice to see you as well, Peru.
Yeah. Audience, this is Parul, your host, as usual. And today we have a fantastic person on the other side of the world. I'm in London and she is in the state. Yeah, so we'll be discussing a really important topic today. I want to introduce you to Patricia Davis. She is an inspirational speaker, an entrepreneur, a faith minister, inspirational writer, and also online radio production, broadcaster. But I want you to hear from Patricia what she got to say. So, Patricia, it would be really nice for you to introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and why you decided to do that.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. My name is Patricia Davis. And of course, I'm the CEO of Relationship Communication Group. I'm a writer, inspirational speaker, and a leadership in faith ministry. And I do what I do because I do it for people. And so I just have a passion for people where they are in relation to relationship and communication. And that's my niche. And so I take the opportunity all around the world to share with people about the conflicts as well as conquests they may have in regards to relationship and communication. That's my passion. That's who I am. I'm the person to contact or to bend the ear when you have a relationship issue or concern, whether it be business or personal. And I put modules together to help you get to a greater place of success than where you were before you started. And of course, like I said, I volunteer. I have a passion for community, church, leadership, all the way around. And I'm just glad that my passion for relationship, my passion for communication, and of course, my belief in God and how I serve people, because I do believe that I'm a servant and I care about people. It brings me to the place where now I'm reaching you even in the UK. And I'm just so glad to be here with you.
Thank you, Patricia. Thanks for your introduction. And I'm just, I just love your wisdom, your passion to help people. When you meet people who are like-minded, it's really like you get connected. And I think we got connected very easily within a minute of going to a clubhouse. So, fantastic, meeting you.
Yes.
Now, I want to focus on, obviously you do quite a lot of things. And one of the things we talked about is fear to faith. So why you decided to focus on the issue of fear and the issue of faith?
Again, it drives for people. My observation as well as my interaction with people in regards to fear and the challenges that they had because of fear. I have my own journey through conquering fear. And of course, now, globally, what's in the news today is what? It's in the news about fear and panic because of Omicron and the variant and how people respond to that. So that's what drove me to continue to write about fear, as well as to be in a position to help people who have challenges with fear, because it is a natural response. It's an emotional response that we have. It doesn't mean that fear leaves us, but of course, in my journey, I have learned how to never let fear be a winner. And I want to share that with people around the world who may feel that they're running the race, but they pretty much need a cheerleader along to say, go for it, you're going to make it. And no, you're not only going to outrun fear, you're going to get to a point that fear is not even in your race. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's great. Now, since you touched the topic, so can you go on and elaborate what your tips and what you want to teach people in terms of how people can move away from fear and focusing on faith, and especially, current situation as well. So as the overall, but with, you touched on current situation, people are very fearful. So can you take us through of your system, how you help people, what people?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Thank you. I'm glad you asked. I just want to offer a couple of topics and distinguish. There is a clinical fear. And that fear, of course, deals with the frontal lobe of the brain. And sometimes it can happen to people from birth now. And I'm not dealing with the clinical fear per se, because that person may need additional professional support. But the modules that I create, which I'm going to share a few tips with you, can assist them as long as they share that module with their therapist or psychiatrist or someone they're working with on the clinical area. However, the tips I'm going to share is on just a regular social basis of fear or phobia people have. For example, their responses, you could be frightened, people can be angry, they can be startled, natural expression. Sometimes people shake. It depends on what the stimuli is and the environment that they're in that causes them to react and show that emotion. Now, first, I would like to say what causes that emotion, of which a lot of us know. It comes, like I said, into our brain. Some of it is taught, sometimes from birth. In my research, I've discovered that when a baby is born, because a baby is not aware of its environment and it's learning its environment, it does not understand how everything in the environment functions. And as a result, those emotions, as one professor from Yale said, it cannot be fully defined by anyone because we are born with something within our DNA and our emotions that safety factor in us that gives us a stimuli when there's something in our environment that may startle us. So my point and tips are, how do we respond to that? And I just want to share that with you. How do we respond to fear and that stimuli that happens when it comes in our environment? And how do we respond with faith? Now, one is to recognize the fear and identify the fear, what caused it, why did it enter our environment, why did it happen in our mindset that we chose to either flight, which happens with fear, or fight. But either way, we're still in a battle and we're not really taking control of what I do feel some of us, if it's not on the clinical area, but just the regular normal fear that people have. For example, you're in a relationship and someone intimidates you and actually manipulates you and belittles you to the point that you now fear them because you feel you don't have the power to respond and to react, and you get that safety mode. Your emotions are there. You can either withdraw or you submit to that person that is actually bullying you or manipulating you because of control. Tip number one, never give someone else your control. What you do is you step back with assertive points and take authority over the person or over whoever is trying to send you messages to your brain, to your person, to yourself, that they have more power than you do. We each can make that decision of the power that we have within ourselves, and you make it through those, I call bounce back statements. I'm not frightened of the statement that's being made. I have the power to say no. I also have the tip number one, you have the power to say no. Number two, you have the power to say, I choose not to remain in this threatened environment. I make a decision to choose that I can leave. And tip number three, you take that assertive decision-making process to say, I choose not to give value to what's being transmitted to me. So when intimidation, manipulation, and threatening is presented to you, that's not a gift that you want to receive. And that's what I do to encourage people, to empower people. And I'm going to go there with the scripture. Greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world, for those of you that are faith people, faith believers in God. But if you have some other type of belief, which we are aware that we could be talking to people international that have multiple types of beliefs in who they believe and how they believe. But take it to this tip for you, that you believe in yourself, the power that's inside of you. And because of that, thoughts have life. Thoughts not only matter, but thoughts have life. Because when you think, as most psychologists would tell you, that when you think, and our brain, the way our brain is worked, those thoughts and things travel up through our spinal cord. That's how fearfully and wonderfully we're made. It travels through, it's like a machine, right? Or you can see like it's like a traffic. Those thoughts are traffics, and everything that we have travels through our spinal cords up to our brain, and it then sends messages to that area where it stores memory, where they talk about the hippocampus. And so we want to, first one is to stop, just like a stop sign. One of my tips is use your authority of words just like a stop sign, and stop that message from traveling to your brain, that your thoughts are going to give it power, that you're going to put it into an action, and then you're going to react and act on it. So that's some of my tips. And the other point is with fear, you use the same acronym, but I don't want you to flip it, because just like a coin, if you flip a coin, whether it's on heads or tails, and I'm just using that for a currency of a silver, not the paper coin, but if you flip that on each side, it's still a coin. So the next tip is you never flip fear. So you don't flip fear for accommodation, or you don't flip fear for embracing it. What you simply do with fear is that you force fear out. Your force forces fear out of the environment of what you're dealing with. And you can do that. We just simply have to, what I call is reflect, reset, and then of course realign our thinking. It's our mindset. That takes time. And that's why there's something I'm working on with a certain amount of time. People say it takes 21 days for us to establish another habit. But of course, it not only takes the 21 days, it takes the belief of ourselves that each one of us have individually. It also takes the initiative not to give up. It also takes the initiative to believe in ourselves, that we have the courage. And for those, our audience that's listening to us, if you feel that you don't have the courage to do it alone, you don't have to do it alone. There's someone somewhere that I hope that you can reach out to, and I'm one, that we can help do it together with you, supporting you. This broadcast all over the world with Peru, and what she does is here to what? Give you more confidence. And that's what these tips are, to give you greater confidence. And it's a process that's going to go step by step by step for each day, but to take authority over those challenges. And of course, don't give it currency. That's another tip I just shared. Don't give it currency, because fear comes into our mindset, and it comes through people. It could have come when we were studies say, and one of the Yale's research in their studies was saying that it comes at an adolescence, and 40%, 45% of adolescents, even in mid-school, they still have some fears or phobias, because they're what? They're still learning about the environment. So the other tip is to be patient with yourself, and know that all of us are still learning, and we're learning about an environment that changes all around us. But one thing we want to learn is that there's courage inside of us. Now, the point is with currency, either people give it to you or you invest in it. That's another tip. Don't invest in fear, but invest in faith. Invest in that faith and belief of yourself. Ours is in faith and belief in who we serve, or how, as far as spiritual. But even if you're not at that point, you still have what they call your consciousness, or your state of being, that you can invest in yourself to believe greater, past fear, and how you respond to it. In other words, you're not going to give it value, because it's actually based a lot of times upon our responses, and it comes from a subject where we becomes the object. We actually become the object. So your other tip point is you never allow yourself to become the object from the control of another subject, because we control our person. Now, some of you are listening, you're saying, listen, girly girl, you haven't been in my experience. That's all well and good what you're saying, but you haven't lived my life. No, I have not. But I can tell you one thing, in some place in my relationship communication expertise that I've shared with people around the world, they have shared experiences, exchanges, and encounters that they've had, and I've helped walk them through. And at the end of the day, it's really about walk them through, because that power and that resilience was already inside of them. Now, you could have encountered something with fear that tried to take it from you, remember, because with currency, a thief can try to come steal it. Never let someone come, and keep your security there for your heart and your mind and your soul, that when someone tries to break into that place and bring you fear, wants to take your faith out. That's what fear does. Fear comes and breaks in, takes your faith away, and then leaves you with fear. And then it causes you to, and causes us to what? Detour from our purpose, and detour from really celebrating the beautiful essence of who we all are. So don't allow fear, or those that bring fear of intimidation, because normally when something comes to, if it's another person and they come to intimidate or manipulate, it's not because of you that you are weak. I want you to reset your mindset and think it's not because of your weakness, but it could be the weakness of the other person, because they have to want to have control of that environment, control of conversation, control of even your body. And as a result, you have to take control of that relationship, because that person is coming from a weak place. That person doesn't have the power to be comfortable in this state of being of who they are. And as a result, their pleasure is, of course, trying to show and exert authority over someone else. And that's why your mindset, remember, one of the first tips I was saying is you make a choice. If I don't get anything across from this interview today, is you make a choice. I choose not to stay in this environment. I choose not to allow you, that's setting boundaries. I choose not to allow you to intimidate me with fear. I don't relate to fear. Fear shouldn't be in relationship with me, in my mind and in my state of being. And for some of you that are in a place and you say, well, I don't know if I'm going to do it. I want you to eliminate, I don't know. And then you say, I'm going to try. I'm going to have enough faith in myself. I'm going to have, these are tips I'm giving you. I'm going to have enough faith in those that I am in communication with or in relationship with. I'm going to have enough faith to believe that I can come out of this. I can come out of it greater, and I can come out of it with faith. Faith is not just belief, it's action. And those were action principles and practices that I was sharing with you, that you practice that. Practice the principle of currency. And I'm talking about emotional currency. I'm talking about faith currency and the value that you give it. Because what does fear, when you say that, and fear comes, it tries to come as a thief, or it comes as a false investor, right? Because it's not really investing in our lives. Is fear invested in our lives, using it as an out? No. Fear comes in to invade and infect our lives and cause havoc and chaos and put us in a worse place than where we are, because we become imbalanced. We become subject to resistant or apprehensive into taking initiatives and actions that we want to do, because fear actually brings doubt, it brings anxiety, it brings worry. And we are aware of all of those, I call them they're not even fruits, but those forces of the emotions that fear comes with. As we can see, even when we're talking today, the topic and the time that I have heard, and I've already been in a conversation, a relationship environment where people were talking about fear, not to respond to fear. And it takes that individual decision, because why? Because it's of the unknown. We don't know about the new variant that's just on the headlines all across the world. And people already they're making the assumptions and the what ifs and the unknowns based on, I don't know what's going to happen to me next. And sometimes some of you may be that I'm talking to around the world could be in a situation like that. Yeah, Pat, you're not in my house. You're not in my kitchen. You're not in my living room. You're not even in my country. You're not in my relationship, what I deal with every day. And yes, I can hear that as well as you're not where I am. But you know where both of us are? We have one thing in common and many others. We have a brain, we have a body, we have thought, and yes, fear cannot take authority over our thoughts unless we give it power. And fear cannot take authority over our choice unless we make the decision. I just want to make one other point and see if she has any other questions. But you say, well, Pat, what about the consequences? I believe that we have enough courage to say, I'm going to be strong enough and have enough faith to be willing to be subject to the consequences, as long as it doesn't bring harm to me physically or to those that are around me, to take the authority over fear emotionally and with my spiritual faith that I have day by day, to bring myself into a greater place so that I can have a greater relationship, not only of life with myself, but those of others, because we can take authority over that fear. I hope that answers some of the questions with the tips.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You shared a lot of tips. So I'm not going to summarize all of them. I think one of the point I would just want to say that you mentioned believe, have a belief in yourself, have faith. And when you self-believe and when you have faith, you can achieve anything you want. You also talk about don't let fear steal your faith. I love the point. Don't let fear steal your faith. And you are in control, you are in charge. Therefore, keep in charge, because fear is there, is not in your living room, is not in, in front of your face. So, it's in our mind. Fear is in your mind. Yes. So do not let fear take over your mind, take over your life. That is fantastic, share. Patricia, really love the point.
Thank you.
What I want, you raised quite a lot of points, and I'm sure audience will take notes and listen to someone who's been qualified to talk about, Patricia got years of experience helping people. So what I'll do, obviously, put both of our details in the write-up below the video. But I want to ask you the final question is, if you were, you shared a lot of tips. If you were to leave one thought with our audience, what that would be?
That thought is, you have the power of your mind. You have the power of your mind. You have the power. It's just a point where you make the decision to use it against fear.
Fantastic.
And your belief is always greater than boundaries that fear tried to set. So I believe that you will excel, and I believe you'll bounce back.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Thank you for your time. And to audience, thank you for listening. I hope you take some notes and apply that in your life. We live in a challenging environment at present, and people are fearful of lots of things, whether that's a job for, losing job, losing business, or for their health. But don't let the fear take over your mind. Take in charge, take control, as Patricia said, you are in charge. And I want to say, please share this video with your loved one, your friends, and your platform, to make sure what we want is everybody to be benefited from this video. So people can listen, people can apply in your life. And, this is Parul, your host, life and leadership coach. My details and Patricia's details will be below the video. And we'll be back again with another topic. So take care and goodbye for now. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.